Hi, this is the 5th of April 2020. We reached a conjunction with Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn in the United Kingdom or in some parts of the world, Greenwich Mean Time, last night, 3:45 a.m. in the morning, and that conjunction is very strong for the next couple of days. And friends, family and other people have urged me to make video about it, or just make videos and put them on YouTube. I'm actually sitting outside on my balcony, so even though I'm outside, I'm actually within my own home. So that's what I want to discuss, is the energy of Jupiter and the Pluto combination. So just so people know, and it's a very obvious statement to make, but the last time we had a conjunction like this was in the Dark Ages, when we had the Black Plague, the Black Death. And if we look at what was happening in the crises at the time, we can see that, Elizabeth I, for example, was kept in the Tower. So we had authorities not trusting authorities. We had a complete, instability in worldly politics, if you like. There was religious mayhem, or a disorderly amount of contrary, I'm trying to think of the words, behavior between which religion was most appropriate, and there was just so much conflict. Obviously the Protestants and the Catholics, and what was right and what wasn't, and people were willing to die for this. And did, it was treason or heresy to speak out about either one if it wasn't the ruling monarch's state religion. So obviously that's historic, but looking at historic patterns actually can hold a precedence for something in the future. So that's the first thing. Obviously, the reason such disasters would come along, which could be natural disasters or brought on by ourselves. I mean, in this case is, I'm not saying that the virus is a lack of hygiene necessarily, but it could be. It's literally the energy of the two planets coming together in a force in Capricorn. So what does Pluto really represent? Pluto is effectively actually downgraded from a planet to a type of star. So we don't even look at it as a planet anymore. However, in astrology, we look at it as something that has 100% influence on global events, and it's a transpersonal planet that basically holds no discrimination against anything, anyone, or any action. So you cannot control what Pluto energies and characteristics will play out. That's the first particular thing. Pluto really represents death, transformation and rebirth. All of the things that are completely unknown, all of the hidden aspects of life and the universe and the mysteries of the world, and the universe and beyond. So those are all the things that we don't know about, all the things that are the uncertainty. So you can really see how that's playing out at the moment. Obviously, being in Capricorn is actually, they see it's like a mountain goat, but actually it's a sea goat. It's a creature that can live in the sea as well as on earth. So basically it can transmutate itself anyway. And what's Capricorn's highest aim is foundations, building a stable future, building stability for the future. It stays very much rooted in the present, but it's in the present in order to obtain a better future. So on a very practical basis, Capricorn as a zodiac sign will consider, how do I get from A to B, and how do I make that most effective for me, and how do I make it most organized and efficient, so that's what you see systematically happening here, with Pluto being all about, I want to transform this, and the only way to transform this is to do this. It's a bit like, okay, it's not a very nice solution, but it's the only solution that it can see. So if we look at astrology is having some kind of ruler up there. I'm not saying it does, but it's it is playing out a formula, is executing a formula. That's exactly what's happening. So Pluto's energy combined with Capricorn means let's transform all of the instability that's present. What's happening to the planet? The environmental crisis, you know, the ecosystem being completely messed about with, the fact that we are pushing into all corners of the world and pushing into rainforests and places of natural beauty and ecosystems that should not be messed with, you know. So what's really happening is that we've interfered far too much with the balance of nature. That's the first thing that Pluto will want to bring back into balance. So, you know, how do we transform that? Well, the most practical solution that Capricorn would suggest is, well, we just have to bring it back into, you know, alignment, if you like, with creating, you know, our solution. What is the solution? Well, Pluto would suggest is death, transformation through death, and then we can be reborn into a new world. So literally, like, the most cruelest thing is, which we've seen throughout history in our indigenous tribes, and, you know, the survival of the fittest and the weakest don't survive. And that's basically what's playing out here. Jupiter's energy that comes in is coming in to amplify, extend and expand the situation. It's a bit like a hurtling train going 80 miles an hour and somebody is pushed on the accelerator with their foot and they're speeding up to go more than 100, 110, 120. That's the energy of Jupiter. If you can imagine a really fast comet moving through the sky, or a shooting star, that's Jupiter. It's going to mutate. You know, Jupiter is Sagittarius and Pisces, as the old ruler of Pisces, is the ruling planet of those two zodiac signs. So it's completely mutable. And if you think that Sagittarius is mutable fire, then it's just like it just rips through everything. And Jupiter is an unstoppable force. Jupiter is not something that can just end. It's not something that you go, oh, I've had enough of that now. Can you stop for a bit? You know, like, let's kind of negotiate something. No. Interestingly, I believe, I'm not completely sure, because we have something called astrocartography, and Jupiter's influence on America at the moment is very big. And I believe the zodiac sign that rules most of America is Leo. So we have all this bravado and ego and like, I can do this and look at us, we're amazing. But actually Jupiter is having such a strong influence on the United States as a whole that that place will be the worst affected. And we can see all of this starting to play out. There is no way of preventing it. There is no way of saying, oh no, but I think this and I think that, and we have to allow things to play out as they were meant to be. You know, interfering with the course of events that's meant to happen will actually just create obstacles and a karmic resistance in our own path. So that brings me to resistance as well. If any of us try and resist the rules and regulations that are being placed on us, Saturn has been in Capricorn that whole time, which of course Saturn is about restriction. Saturn is about being confined, not being imprisoned, you know, and also the fact that time is real. You know, it's like kind of grandfather time, the Grim Reaper. So actually Saturn now moving into Aquarius in the last couple of weeks, actually even represents on a societal level even more confinement. You know, I mean, actually Aquarius represents utilitarian rule. It very much represents the communal effort and is actually the epitome, if you like, of communism. You know, Aquarius wants everything to be the same. What we see playing out with technology and 5G is completely Aquarian. The age of Aquarius is that. It's all about technology. It's all about better, more efficient, organized ways of doing things. Because it will mean, you know, that we can free ourselves up. This is actually meant to be about freedom, to be able to be more creative, to do much better things, to ascend ourselves, to become more conscious. Because according to Aquarius, it's like, let's use our brains. Aquarius is all about the intellect, yeah, and gathering information and gathering all this different information to make a better world. So it's actually very much the utopian dream. And so if you imagine a smart motorway, and everyone is driving a smart vehicle that's driving the same speed on this motorway, then actually everything is the same and everyone's aim is going towards the same way, and actually everyone then has a unity of a type that's no different to any others. It's egoless, right? Because if we're all doing the same thing and we're only allowed the same things and we're all being, if you like, lack of individuality, actually, that's kind of what Aquarius represents. I mean, yes, it carries water, it carries the emotion, it doesn't want to interfere or get involved with the emotion. Which brings me to the age of Aquarius. Obviously we're entering into an age of Aquarius, and entering into the age of Aquarius is only going to mean that this energy is going to get stronger. We're only going to see more and more of this technological advancement, AI, things getting more simple, pressing a button and something is done, because it frees us up as spirits to be able to go and enjoy other things. And I don't think that that means that nature is going to be eradicated. I think it means that it's going to assist and help and progress nature and natural law and us as human beings. What's happening with people that are resisting that is that they will get left behind. If they refuse to adapt, they will suffer more. You know, again, the resistance is futile type of thing. The age of Pisces really represented our complete commune with spirit, you know, the spirituality of God and divine, the divinity aspect, you know. And of course that came in with the dawning of Jesus Christ and Christianity. You know, like, everybody love each other, I'm going to share with you, we're just all going to share, we're all going to, you know, be enlightened together. It doesn't matter if you're a criminal, if you're this or that. It didn't discriminate. Pisces wants wholeness, holistic well-being for everybody, and is very forgiving. But with that, because you've got Pisces, the duality, and you've got always a contradiction there. You've got the dark with the light. You've got the saint sinner, the yin yang again, you know. So we've seen a lot of destruction, and actually we've seen a whole lot of religious war, which actually in an age of Pisces doesn't surprise me at all. You know, everything was about a religious war, you know, and you can see that being played out through the last 2,000 years. So the fact that we're actually coming into a peacetime, the new paradigm is peaceful if we don't resist it. Now we are in Saturn and Aquarius now. Rules and regulations and confinement is essential for this new process to play out. If we don't pay attention, actually our conscience is going to feel more guilty. We'll feel more like rebels, you know, we'll be stepping out of the norm and doing things that aren't correct. And then that weighs heavy on your own conscience and you think, well, I don't think it's right. Well, even if you don't think it's right, it's what's being asked of us. And if we do want a utilitarian world where everybody cooperates and everybody is without ego, then that's what's being asked of us here. For example, to stay home, to amuse ourselves, to be with ourselves, to commune with ourselves, to meditate, to be at one with everything around us. And actually that can accelerate our growth. It can accelerate who we are, because we have to tap into that depth inside of ourselves to access our telepathic nature in order, you know, to access other people. And I've actually noticed it myself, that I've thought about somebody and instantly, you know, they text me or contacted me, or they'll write to me going, oh, I was just thinking about you and I was thinking about going out. It's just been insane, you know. And I can also feel their energy and how they're feeling. Do they want to be alone? Do they want to be contacted? So actually we are tuning into each other much better, because we're not having, you know, we're not allowed, or not having these social interactions, and the social distance actually is actually accelerating us. And that may seem completely, you know, contradictory, but it's not. I do believe that the whole of the way this is playing out is partly going to heal ourselves, but it's also going to heal the world and change the world undeniably. Like, it's going to completely change it and eradicate a lot of the things that we saw before. For sure, this is an entrance and a dawning of a new age. You know, it's pinnacle right now. And the new things that we see playing out, we shouldn't see it as something that's against us, that's, you know, trying to overtake us, to control us. You know, cameras, facial recognition, you know, even tagging, or barcode chipping, all of this kind of thing. If that's all in the future, which I believe it is, I don't believe that we're even close to that yet, but maybe in a couple of years, or vaccines or this and that. Actually, it's all about wanting to protect, wanting to understand and track people. It's like a Borg, but Aquarius is a Borg. That's really Aquarian society, ruled by the 11th house, is about community. It's about knowing everybody. It's about everyone being contactable, so that when that skill is necessary, we want it here. And when this, it's about networking. It's about connection. And I think what's happening with a lot of spiritual types of people, even myself, is that we're resisting that. But I don't want to be a part of that crowd. That's not my tribe. Yeah. So we'll see that happening. So we'll get very much a division. And this is where Pluto Capricorn conjunction comes in again. We'll get two tribes. We literally will get a grid mentality and an off-grid mentality. People who refuse to want to become a part of that grid and be chipped and facial recognized and da-da-da-da-da. And we'll get the off-grid people that want to live in nature and not be known. But actually they're the more hermit type of people. They're the ones that are resisting wanting to become in real unity. Unless, of course, we all go and live in mass communes in nature, where we are doing exactly the same thing effectively, but without bar chipping, without any of that stuff, without facial recognition, but we're still a part of a community. There's only one answer to this new age. It's called community. It's called unity, community, and cooperation. And we've seen that playing out, really. I mean, like, even since 1987, which is when the Mayans say that their dawning of this next age, the sixth sun, started. That actually we've really seen that progressing, with more festivals, with coming together, with community groups, with networking, even social media and, meetup and all these groups is new ways of meeting people. Yes, it's digital, but it's made the world a lot smaller place. So just one final thing about Jupiter, which I didn't forget, is it is 9th house. Obviously, Jupiter is in the 9th house, and 9th house is exactly where Jupiter is most happy, which is why it can rain its fury there, because 9th house is about travel. It's not just about travel, but it's about the warrior, in all of us. So self-protection, our spiritual growth. So if people are seeing other people going out, they will self-police. So, yes, all of this travel has actually enabled this virus to get everywhere, because we have so much global travel now through trains, boats, planes, cars, vehicles, everything, So closing down borders and confining ourselves and becoming very much more individualistic is actually a real display of Saturn in Aquarius for this moment in time. That bridging border between actually Capricorn in Saturn displayed that, and all the lockdowns happened. Now we're coming into a different realm where we're going to be a different type of people. We're going to emerge in a different society. So when we come out of the lockdown, we are entering into a different world to the one that we ended in when we came into lockdown, if that makes sense. What I mean is the way that we used to live and the society as we knew it is something of the past. The lockdown really has represented, this is closure. It's closure of one way of living, and now we're opening a door to a different type of way of living. And it's true, things are literally going to change overnight. But, actually Aquarius in Saturn, like I say, either you want to refuse it or reject it or whatever. A load of Aquarian people out there who got their sun sign in Aquarius are going to be feeling like, oh, but yeah, this is the future, it's great, and I love this. But actually, if you look at all the aspects of what Aquarius represents, it's so futuristic. It's ruled by Uranus. It's completely about unpredictability, and that anything can happen. And actually, the best way to make something happen is for it to be the most effective and the most efficient. Saturn was the old ruler of Aquarius before we knew Uranus existed. So, same with Pluto. Pluto is now the ruler of Scorpio, but actually originally it was Mars before we knew Pluto existed. So Jupiter is not 100% a transpersonal planet, so it has 50% influence and the rest of it's interpersonal. So it does mean, how do you take it? How do you want it to affect your life? Jupiter can be a great expander at this time. It can make you grow within yourself. You could sit down and learn a new skill while during lockdown. You could perfect something overnight if you wanted. You could spend the next 3 weeks learning to play the guitar. You could, you know, do something that you've wanted to do for ages and never had the opportunity. So instead of going into some kind of depression and I feel imprisoned and this is awful for me, we could all really extend ourselves and expand our growth, right? And do something really positive. And I think that is okay. It's okay, and I think that's something that we all have to consider. So that's pretty much my rant on the astrological proceedings at the moment and all these different alignments. We have lots of other things happening also. You know, we got Uranus and Taurus, we got Neptune and Pisces, we've got Chiron and Aries. I mean, all of these alignments are incredibly powerful and strong, making all of this happen. So it's all a collective thing. It's not just what I've mentioned about what's happening in Capricorn, but we also have the South Node in Capricorn. So this is about, again, relationships, finding better stability in our neighborhood, finding it within our relationships that we're around right now in community. Not necessarily the ones we would choose, but the ones that we're in now. So all the neighbors and all the people that we're living close to, we're all finding that actually we're all going to have to start helping each other and cooperate. That is the emphasis completely of Capricorn in the South Node. It's getting better, getting more organized and more stable within our relationships around us. And the North Node in Cancer is completely about nurturing. We didn't know this. You know, the North Node is the head of the dragon that represents the unknown. And actually, look at that, the Great Mother, Cancer, nurturing ourselves and nurturing other people that are vulnerable around us. There you go, perfect scenario there. So yeah, I mean, we did have Mars in Capricorn. That's moving out again. It's pushing that Saturn into Aquarius as well. It's giving it even more drive and force to do what it wants to do, which is authority, you know, obviously confinement, and okay, all these different laws are being passed for the good of humanity. We just have to trust that. If we don't trust anything, we're going to lose a total lack of faith in ourselves and just be confused and, you know, actually going to cause our own mental health to really, really start breaking down. That isn't a positive thing for any of us. So we've got to see the silver lining. We've got to see what's positive about this and not look at all the negatives and feel like, okay, you know, I'm being controlled, I'm being this. Even if that is the case, it is for our own good, according to them. And actually, all of the world's rulers, they only want to do what they think is best for everyone, because that's what rulership is about. Now, we may have, you know, democratic leaders, we've got dictatorships, we've got communist leaders, but they're all doing what they feel's best for their people, no matter what, because they don't want to lose their people, because losing their people is losing their nation, is losing their workers, it's losing everything. Their skilled workforce, their whole community of life. There's no way that any ruling government wants to get rid of its people. That's just an impossibility. And anything else is just sheer paranoia. If you believe in anything else, it's absolute paranoia. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell, really. Like I say, the energies are going to play out. We're going to see much more of the virus. There is going to be more death. And then obviously after a period of time, which I'm predicting is 6 months to the next year and a half, we're going to see the coronavirus playing out. I don't think that it's going to end ever. Anyway, there's always going to be that remnant left over. So a bit like MRSA, anywhere you go, you may need to be tested, or you have some sort of certificate that shows that you've been tested and that you don't have it. That's something that is going to be new. And that's because it's been such a dangerous disease. And I don't think it will be eradicated from the planet for at least 18 months. That's at least 18 months, you know. As long as Jupiter stays in Capricorn, it's there. Okay, and like I say, even when Jupiter goes into Aquarius fully without retrograding, there's going to be that remnant there. It's still going to exist. So we're coming into a new world, whether we like it or not. We just have to adapt in the best way that we know how. And that's my advice to everyone. Yeah. And I hope everyone enjoyed that, and that's all I'm going to say for now. So enjoy the rest of the sunny day. It's a lovely Sunday. Sun rules a Sunday, so enjoy the mush. Enjoy!